Well, Mr. Abey, thank you for joining our program today.
Thank you.
As a leading financial planner, can you give us an overall view about the stock market worldwide?
Well, the stock market for the last 12 months has fallen quite a lot. There's been fluctuations, of course, in there. The trigger for the falls were the subprime crisis, which has been quite well documented now. But now what the ongoing problem is that US property prices continue to fall. It's the first time that we've seen an across-the-board fall in US property prices really since the 1930s. And that's likely to have a dampening effect on US consumption and to keep on slowing US growth. So that's one problem. That's coinciding with the rise of India and China, causing commodity prices, but especially food prices and fuel prices, to now be at pretty well record highs. So there's a fair number of pressures in the world economy which have been reflected in stock markets. Financial stocks in particular have fallen very sharply. Commodity stocks have actually done quite well. I think the good news is, though, that one is starting to see some quite good quality buying opportunities starting to emerge, especially amongst financial stocks.
Do you think the subprime crisis is over?
I think the worst of the subprime crisis is over. Having said that, I think for some of the economies, and especially the US economy, for the reasons I mentioned, that is slowing property prices and so on, will take they'll take some time to recover. Now, having said that, there are positive things happening in the US economy as well. For example, exports. Housing accounts for about 4 to 5% of US GDP. Exports account for about 12%. Thanks to the much weaker US dollar, we're starting to see exports in the past year in the US really pick up very substantially. But still, it'll take some time for the US to actually work its way through this.
Back to China, do you think the earthquake in Sichuan will affect the economy and the market performance?
Not badly. I think the earthquake in Sichuan was a very tragic event with a very substantial loss in life and property damage. But the Chinese economy is a very substantial and diverse economy now. And so no, I don't think it's going to fundamentally affect the Chinese economy. In fact, I think the reconstruction effort could actually spur the Chinese economy further.
Well, let's go back to the question about your book. This is your book, How Much Is Enough? And I read it, and it's not really investment tips or research report. Why did you pick up such a subject?
Right. So, we live now in the 21st century, which is the most affluent era of human history. The opportunities for us to lead a long life, a healthy life, and to be authentic, to do what we want to do is significant. The opportunity to also, and the need for us to save our money well, to invest it well, to fund a long retirement is also important. So we've got tremendous opportunities, right? But much of the evidence is that people aren't making the best of these opportunities. So along with affluence, we also have very high levels of depression, of suicide, of people actually doing poorly with their investments, not just because the market's gone down, but actually losing money long term, not just because of temporary declines. So why is this? And the key reason for this is that the human brain has been evolving for, millions of years, the modern brain for a few 100,000 years. For most of the evolution of the human brain, it was in the African savanna, where our focus was short-term survival, and it wasn't making the most of the opportunities in the 21st century. So one of my favorite sayings now is, you are what you think. You are what you think. So we need to learn new skills of thinking to make the most of these opportunities. What How Much Is Enough does is it draws on the latest research in behavioral theory. It draws on research from psychology, from evolutionary biology, from finance and economics, and it translates it into hopefully a readable format, using a lot of stories, anecdotes, examples. And it provides a framework, knowledge, and tools to help people actually develop what we see as being the thinking patterns which will make the most of modern life.
Do you have any other plan to write another new book?
Well, one of the things I'd like to do is, and which we're working on, is writing a version of How Much Is Enough for adolescents. Because these lessons of how to think, they're probably best to actually start early. I think one of the tragic things we've seen in the last 30 or 40 years in many countries is while wealth has gone up, is we've seen the youth suicide rate go up very sharply. So in Hong Kong, depression amongst youth between 15 to 25, and suicide is at record levels. That's true of Australia, it's true of New Zealand and so on. So giving people the self-confidence to actually understand themselves, explore the inner sources of happiness is something which we think is important. As a result of doing that, we also think that they'll develop the emotional resilience to become better investors. Nowadays, there is no shortage of good quality investment opportunities. Notwithstanding the current investment market situation and so on, there's plenty of good opportunities. What it requires is emotional resilience.
Thank you for joining our program today.
Thank you very much.